All right, corn growers, I want to know who sold a load of corn with the highest test weight this fall. I was looking through some load tickets I had that I hauled 2 weeks ago. I sold a load of NK 1523. It was 61.9 pounds, 14.1 on the moisture, field dried. It never went to the bin. It comes straight off the combine into the truck to the buyer. That's really awesome for us. I want to know, put in the comments, your highest test weight corn you've sold this. Okay, I've been cutting some tough green stemmed beans, so keep that in mind. I'm running 500 on the rotor approximately. The concaves are between 1 and 2 right now. I got them set pretty tight. The top sieve, probably a 1/2 inch gap all the way back, maybe a little wider on the very back one. The bottom sieve on the shoe sieve, just big enough a soybean will go into it, no bigger. Fan, 900, 950 is where I've been running. Our biggest problem is trying not to blow them out the back. Point of order, a standard rotor machine needs to be set a little more aggressive on the concaves than a specialty rotor machine with an international combine. That's my opinion. I don't know if that's fact, but in my experience is running a specialty rotor versus a standard rotor. Standard rotor does better in corn, but a specialty needs to be set tighter for beans. My opinion. I'm out here cutting some beans this afternoon. It's a beautiful day for it. October the 25th is actually my birthday today. Right across from the home farm. Gonna be a beautiful sunset. That's my pawpaw's place right over there. But anyway, pretty good sample out of this old 40-year combine. Cracking a few. I might slow down the rotor just a little bit, but it don't look bad. I'm not gonna fill her all the way up. I'm gonna go dump, and I know some of y'all wonder why I don't fill it all the way up. When I go right down there on that hill, the camera doesn't do it justice, but it's steep, really steep, and I don't want to be down there with a full hopper and either run out of power with this old girl, or these things are notorious for breaking final drives, and I don't want to get down there on that hill with a full bin and lay her down and break the final drive. That'd be a mess. Now, my wife asked me last night what I wanted for my birthday, and I told her if she really wanted to get me something I could use, she could come by here and clean the nasty windows on this combine. But I ain't seen her yet today, so maybe she's on the way. We can only hope. But anyway, it's a good day. See if the old heavy Chevy will crank. Perfect. I'm not the first one in my family to farm. My great-grandfather on my daddy's side was a farmer here near where I live now. And actually the first land I ever tended was land that he owned probably back in the 1930s to 40s. And he died in the 70s. All I've got of him is some pictures I got that my grandma gave me. But my grandpa on my daddy's side didn't farm. My daddy didn't farm. And then I started farming when I got out of high school. Now, my mother's daddy, my pawpaw, he always piddle farmed a little bit. He had a few cows, messed with a little garden, but nothing on any big scale like what we do now. He still helps me some, but he never did really farm for profit. He was just kind of piddle farming. So I consider myself a first-generation farmer. And, you know, it's got its challenges, but there's a lot of bright spots to being a first-generation farmer. I don't have any dad or grandpa that's in the business that I have to answer to or anything like that. I can pretty much do as I please, which is pretty cool. You know, on TikTok, especially Farm Talk, the last couple of days, there's a trend, and it's been there forever, that, you know, other farmers kind of hate on other farmers most of the time. Most of the time when somebody talks crap about a farmer, it's another farmer. And that's kind of sad. And a lot of times it's when a generational change is made and the farm is left to somebody. People will talk crap. They'll say, well, that boy didn't earn that, or that girl didn't earn that, or they're going to run it in the ground, or their daddy done all that. They're just riding his coattails. Well, here's the problem I have with that. If you're 30 years old and you want to farm, and your parents farm, and they transition the farm over to you, and you work building and maintaining that farm, which should be all of our goals, is to build on what our parents leave us. You should, at the end of it all, if you work for 35 years on that farm, and then you transition it over to your children, which by the time you're 65, that transition should be started pretty good, because if not, you're going to be too late, but that's a different story for a different day. But if you transition that farm over to your children, and all you ever did was made a living, really, you put a little money back, you were comfortable, but you didn't cash in on any of the land or equipment, well, you haven't gained anything. Yeah, it was given to you, but you gave it to your kids. And hopefully they'll build it or maintain it at least and give it to their kids. So really the only person that ever really cashes in is the generation that sells it. So, yeah, your daddy give it to you, but you're going to give it to somebody else, or that's your plan, hopefully. So I don't see where you're really gaining anything besides making a living for 30 years. And, it's bad. I'm a first-generation farmer. But there's people that think that my grandpa give me everything I got. And he helped me a lot. I'm like a turtle on top of a fence post. I had a lot of help. But he didn't give me everything. It got so bad one time, I didn't want him to go pick up no seed or fertilizer for me. Even though the check was written in my name, people would still say that he was buying it.